You know what's funny about revenge? Captain Maya Rodriguez asked, lazily spinning in her command chair while staring at the holographic display of their target, the Zrixian home world. It's best served with a side of absolute technological superiority and a dash of, what the hell did you think was going to happen? Her XO, Lieutenant Commander James Thompson, couldn't help but snort. Are we really doing the whole dramatic monologue thing? Because I've got to say, after 3 millennia of planning this moment, I expected something a bit more profound. Oh, I'm sorry. Maya rolled her eyes. Would you prefer, we are the children of Earth, come to rain righteous fury upon those who destroyed our cradle? Because I can do theatrical if that's what you're into. The bridge crew of the HSS Reckoning tried and failed to maintain their professional composure. After all, it's not every day you prepare to announce humanity's return to the galaxy by knocking on the front door of the species that destroyed Earth, carrying enough firepower to make a supernova look like a firecracker. The diplomatic channel is ready, Captain, announced Communications Officer Raj Patel, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Though I still think it's hilarious we're calling it diplomatic. Maya straightened in her chair, smoothing down her midnight blue uniform. Well, we did spend 3,000 years preparing this speech. Might as well deliver it properly. She cleared her throat. Open channel to all frequencies. The holographic screen flickered to life, showing the panicked faces of the Zrixian High Council. Their crystalline bodies glittered with anxiety-induced bioluminescence, a sight that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so satisfying. Greetings, esteemed members of the Zrixian High Council. Maya's voice dripped with artificial sweetness. I trust we've caught you at a convenient time? No? Too bad. We've waited 3,000 years for this conversation, so you'll have to excuse our lack of proper scheduling etiquette. The lead counselor, his crystal form pulsing with rapid colors, managed to speak first. Who are you? How did you bypass our defensive grid? Oh, that's right. How terribly rude of me. Maya's smile grew sharper. We're humans. Ring any bells? About yay high. Mostly water. Used to live on a lovely little planet in Sector 7. The one your species decided to destroy because, and I quote from your historical archives, their potential for advancement poses an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Crystal beings don't typically go pale, but somehow they managed it. Impossible! Another counselor shrieked. The humans were eliminated. Their world was reduced to cosmic dust. Funny thing about humans, James chimed in, leaning into view. We're really, really good at holding grudges. And we're even better at surviving. Did you know that when you destroyed Earth, you missed our colony ships? The ones we'd launched in secret while your species was still debating whether we were worth monitoring? Maya nodded sagely. 3,000 years is a long time to plan a reunion. We've been busy, you see. Very busy. Would you like to know what happens when you give humanity 3 millennia to advance without oversight? When you give us a reason to unite every surviving human behind a single purpose? The lead counselor's crystalline form had stopped shifting colors entirely, frozen in what could only be described as terror. What do you want? Want? Maya pretended to consider this. Originally, revenge. Pure and simple. But you know what? 3,000 years gives you a lot of time to think, to grow, to realize that maybe, just maybe, becoming the very thing we hated wasn't the answer. She stood up, her uniform catching the light of distant stars. So instead, we're here to deliver a message. Humanity is back. We're stronger than ever, and we're taking our place in the galaxy, whether you like it or not. But our defensive systems, the counselor stammered, are impressive. Really, they are. Or rather, they were, about 500 years ago when we first cracked their coding. We've been watching, learning, and waiting. Did you never wonder why your long-range sensors would occasionally glitch? Why certain defense platforms would mysteriously need recalibration? We've been living in your blind spots for centuries, measuring your progress against our own. James stepped forward. We could destroy your world right now. Our weapon systems make your planetary defenses look like children's toys. But that's not why we're here. Maya nodded. We're here to establish new terms. Humanity is rejoining galactic society, but this time we're coming in as equals. No more hidden colonies, no more playing catch-up. We're taking our seat at the table. The council chamber had gone deathly quiet. Finally, the lead counselor spoke, his voice barely a whisper. And if we refuse? Oh, honey. Maya's smile was practically predatory. That's the best part. You don't get to refuse. See those new moons in your orbit? They're not moons. They're just a small demonstration of what we can do. A reminder that while we chose peace, we're more than capable of choosing something else. She sat back down, crossing her legs casually. You have one standard rotation to prepare your announcement to the galaxy. Humanity is back, and we're here to stay. Oh, and we'll be taking that seat on the Galactic Council you've been keeping warm for the past few millennia. We've already redecorated the office. The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in silence for approximately 3 seconds before the crew burst into laughter. Did you see their faces? Raj wheezed. I thought Counselor Sparkles was going to shatter when you mentioned the moons. Maya grinned. The moons were a nice touch, weren't they? Engineering outdid themselves with those holographic projections. Speaking of which, she tapped her console. Engineering, how's our actual superweapon doing? Chief Engineer Aisha Prabhu's voice came through, barely containing her amusement. Still in pieces, Captain. We're about 60% done with assembly, but it'll be another week before it's operational. Perfect, Maya nodded. Not that we'll need it. Did you see how quickly they folded? 3,000 years of being the biggest fish in the pond, and they never once considered someone might have evolved past them. James shook his head, still chuckling. The best part is, we didn't even lie. Everything we said was true. We just left out the part where our super weapon is basically a really fancy construction tool we're using to rebuild Earth. Speaking of which, Maya turned to her science officer, Dr. Kavita Joshi. How's Project Phoenix coming along? Kavita's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. The matter reconstruction is proceeding ahead of schedule. We've already restored about 15% of Earth's mass using the collected cosmic debris. Another few years and we'll have our cradle world back, better than ever. And the best part? Maya's eyes twinkled. The Zrixians are going to help us rebuild it. They just don't know it yet. I give it about 6 hours before they're falling over themselves to offer reparations and technical assistance. The bridge crew shared knowing looks. They'd all grown up on stories of Earth, passed down through generations. But unlike their ancestors who dreamed of vengeance, they'd been raised on a different message. Prove them wrong. Show the galaxy that humanity's potential wasn't a threat. It was a promise. You know, James mused. I almost feel bad for them. Almost. They spent 3,000 years thinking they'd removed a threat, never realizing they'd actually created something far more interesting. A humanity that had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Maya nodded, her expression softening. Our ancestors could have chosen hate, could have spent those millennia building weapons instead of wisdom. But they chose to make something better. They took our scattered colonies and built a civilization that would make Earth proud. And now? Raj asked, though they all knew the answer. Now we show the galaxy what humanity really is. Not a threat to stability, but a force for innovation. Not destroyers of worlds, but builders of bridges. Maya's voice carried the weight of 3,000 years of human history. We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to take something broken and make it better. The bridge fell into a comfortable silence, each officer lost in their own thoughts. Through the main viewport, the crystalline spires of the Zrixian capital glittered like stars, beautiful and fragile, much like the peace they were about to forge. Captain, Raj spoke up. We're receiving transmissions from, well, basically everyone. The Zrixians aren't waiting for their rotation. They're broadcasting to the entire galaxy right now. Maya leaned back in her chair, a satisfied smile playing across her lips. Put it on screen. I want to see how they spin this. The holographic display came to life, showing what could only be described as barely controlled panic across 100 worlds. The Zrixian announcement, being broadcast in all known languages, was a masterpiece of political backpedaling. In light of recent developments, the lead counselor's voice trembled slightly. The Zrixian hierarchy is pleased to announce the return of humanity to galactic society. We look forward to working together to forge a new era of cooperation and advancement. They're good, James admitted. 3,000 years of political dominance doesn't disappear overnight. No, Maya agreed, but neither does 3,000 years of human innovation. Dr. Joshi, how long until the first phase of Project Phoenix is ready for public announcement? Kavita consulted her displays. The initial matter framework is stable. We could begin the public phase of Earth's reconstruction within the month. Perfect timing, Maya nodded. Nothing says we come in peace, quite like rebuilding a planet while everyone watches. Set a course for the reconstruction site. Let's give the galaxy a real show. As the HSS Reckoning prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Maya couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. This was humanity's moment, not of revenge but of redemption. They'd taken the worst day in human history and turned it into the foundation of something greater. You know what the real joke is? She mused aloud. They destroyed Earth because they were afraid of what we might become. And in doing so, they guaranteed we'd become something far more impressive than they could have imagined. James nodded. Irony's funny like that. Indeed it is, XO. Indeed it is. Maya straightened in her chair. Helm, take us home. It's time to rebuild Earth. The stars blurred into streaks of light as the ship jumped, carrying with it the dreams of countless generations. Humanity hadn't just survived, they'd thrived. And now, after 3,000 years, they were ready to show the galaxy exactly what that meant. Not with weapons or threats, but with the indomitable spirit that had carried them through the darkness of space. They would rebuild their world, and in doing so, build a better galaxy for everyone. After all, that's what humans do best. They take the impossible, and they make it happen anyway. You have got to be kidding me. Maya stared at the holographic message floating above her desk. They sent us a fruit basket. An actual, honest-to-whatever fruit basket. James peered over her shoulder at the image of the crystalline container filled with various exotic fruits from across the galaxy. To be fair, it's a really nice fruit basket. Some of those Centaurian peaches are worth their weight in antimatter. That's not the point! Maya threw up her hands. We show up at their doorstep with enough firepower to rearrange their solar system, announce we're back from the dead, and their first response is, corporate gifting? Well, Raj chimed in from his station. They also sent 17 different peace treaties, 32 formal apologies, and what appears to be the deed to a small moon. Maya pinched the bridge of her nose. A moon. They're trying to buy us off with a moon. Do they not understand we can literally build those now? Actually, Dr. Joshi's voice carried across the bridge, her excitement barely contained. Speaking of building things, you might want to see this. The first phase of Project Phoenix is ready for demonstration. The main viewport shifted, showing a massive framework of energy fields and matter streams where Earth once orbited. Even from this distance, they could see the basic shape taking form. Continents being sketched in pure energy, waiting to be filled with matter. Now that, Maya smiled, is what I call a housewarming gift. How long until we can begin the public demonstration? The matter conversion arrays are at full capacity, Kavita replied. We can start the show whenever you're ready. Though, we do have an interesting development. The Zrixians weren't the only ones who noticed our return. As if on cue, Raj's console lit up with incoming transmissions. Captain, we're receiving requests for contact from pretty much every advanced species in the galaxy, and some of these messages are interesting. Define interesting. James raised an eyebrow. Well, Raj scrolled through the messages. The Andromedans are offering us membership in their technology exchange program, the one they've denied the Zrixians access to for the past millennium. The Vega Collective wants to establish cultural relations, which I think is their way of asking how we managed to advance so quickly. And the Proxima Federation, they're asking if we're accepting immigration applications. Maya leaned back in her chair, a slow grin spreading across her face. You know what this means, right? That we've successfully thrown the entire galactic political system into chaos? James offered. That our 3,000-year plan worked perfectly? Kavita suggested. That we're about to make diplomatic history, Raj added. All of the above, Maya nodded. But more importantly, it means we get to have some fun. Raj, prepare a response to all channels. I think it's time for humanity's first official galactic press conference. The press conference was being held in what humans would consider neutral territory. A massive space station at the intersection of 3 major trade routes. Of course, neutral was a relative term when your species had spent 3 millennia secretly building backup plans for your backup plans. Ready for this? James asked as they prepared to enter the station's main assembly hall. Maya adjusted her formal uniform one last time. Please. I was born ready. Quite literally. My genes were specifically designed to handle high-stress diplomatic situations. That's not actually true, Dr. Joshi pointed out. They don't know that, Maya winked. Now let's go make some history. The assembly hall was packed with representatives from every major galactic power. The Zrixians, notably, had been relegated to the equivalent of the cheap seats, a diplomatic slight that hadn't gone unnoticed by anyone. Maya took her place at the podium, surveying the assembled crowd. Crystalline Zrixians, energy-based Andromedans, the biotechnological marvels of the Vega Collective. and dozens of other species she'd spent years studying, all waiting to hear what humanity had to say. "Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished beings of all configurations," she began. "Thank you for joining us for this historic occasion. I'm Captain Maya Rodriguez of the human spaceship Reckoning, and I'm here to talk about real estate." A confused murmur rippled through the crowd. "Specifically," Maya continued, activating the holographic display behind her, "I'm here to talk about this." The image showed Project Phoenix in all its glory, the framework of the new Earth slowly taking shape.
3,000 years ago, humanity lost its cradle world. Today, we're rebuilding it. Not because we need it. We've built quite comfortable lives among the stars. We're rebuilding it because we can. Because every impossible thing humanity achieves is a reminder that you should never, ever bet against us. She paused, letting that sink in.
"But this isn't just about showing off our technological capabilities. This is about the future. Humanity is returning to galactic society, and we're offering something unique: perspective." The hologram shifted, showing various human achievements from the past 3 millennia. "While we were in exile, we learned a few things. We learned how to turn entire asteroid fields into computational arrays. We learned how to fold space in ways that your best scientists are still theorizing about. We learned how to rebuild planets. But most importantly," her voice softened, "we learned from our mistake of keeping these advancements secret. The very thing that led to Earth's destruction. We're not doing that again, which is why I'm pleased to announce the formation of the Galactic Scientific Exchange Initiative." The assembly hall erupted in excited chatter. Maya waited for it to die down before continuing. "Yes, you heard that correctly. We're offering to share our technological advancements with any species willing to participate in open scientific exchange. All of our advances, except the really fun ones we're keeping in our back pocket, just in case someone gets any ideas about Earth 2.0. A Valen representative raised their appendage. "And the Zrixians? Will they be allowed to participate?" Maya's smile could have cut diamonds. "Of course! In fact, they've already volunteered to be our first test subjects. Their entire defensive grid is being upgraded with human technology as we speak. Isn't that right, Counselor?" The Zrixian representative could only nod, their crystalline form flickering with what might have been embarrassment. Everyone in the room understood the implied message. The upgrades weren't so much an offering as they were a demonstration of human capabilities. "Now," Maya continued, "I'm sure you all have questions. Like how we managed to advance so quickly, or where we've been hiding all this time, or why we chose now to return. The answers are simple: spite, excellent planning, and we got bored." Laughter rippled through the assembly, nervous from some species, genuine from others. "But the real question you should be asking is, what comes next? And that's where things get interesting. Dr. Joshi, would you like to share our little surprise?" Kavita stepped forward, her own holographic display activating. "What you're about to see is the next phase of Project Phoenix. We're not just rebuilding Earth, we're improving it, and we're going to do it live, with full transparency, sharing our techniques with any world that wants to learn." The display showed a simulation of the restored Earth, but with significant improvements: orbital rings, atmosphere processors, gravity control systems, and more. "This isn't just about rebuilding what was lost," Maya took over again. "It's about showing the galaxy what's possible when we work together. Because let's be honest, humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our resilience. It's our ability to take a terrible situation and turn it into an opportunity to do something amazing." She looked directly at the Zrixian representative. 3,000 years ago, you destroyed our world because you feared what we might become. Today, we're showing you exactly what that is. A species that doesn't just survive, we thrive. We don't just rebuild, we improve. And we don't just forgive, we evolve. The assembly hall had gone completely silent. "So," Maya's grin returned, "who wants to help us build something incredible?" The response was immediate and overwhelming. Representatives from dozens of worlds practically jumped from their seats, eager to be first in line for human technological exchange. Back on the Reckoning, hours later, Maya collapsed into her chair with a laugh. "Did you see their faces when we revealed the orbital ring designs? I thought the Andromedans were going to ascend to a higher plane of existence right there." "My favorite part," Raj chuckled, "was the Zrixian representative trying to pretend they weren't panicking when you mentioned the defense grid upgrades. Speaking of which," James checked his tablet, "how are those upgrades actually going?" Maya waved her hand dismissively. Oh, we're actually improving their systems. Can't have anyone else getting ideas about attacking them. They're our object lesson now. Besides, the upgrades come with some interesting monitoring capabilities they don't know about. Paranoid? James raised an eyebrow. Prepared, Maya corrected. 3,000 years of hiding taught us to always have a backup plan. Speaking of which, Dr. Joshi, how's our little side project coming along? Kavita's eyes lit up.
The quantum archaeology is proceeding better than expected. We've already recovered about 30% of Earth's historical data from the scattered matter. Another few months, and we might be able to reconstruct significant portions of human history that were lost in the destruction.
Perfect, Maya nodded. Because I have a feeling we're going to need those reminders of where we came from as we figure out where we're going. She stood up, walking to the viewport to watch the construction of New Earth. You know what the best part of all this is? That we've completely upended 3,000 years of galactic politics in less than a week? James offered. That we're actually going to have our home back? Kavita suggested. That we've managed to terrify the Zrixians without firing a single shot? Raj added. All excellent points, Maya agreed. But no. The best part is that this is just the beginning. We've spent 3,000 years becoming something new. Now we get to show the galaxy exactly what that means. She turned back to her crew, her expression both amused and determined. So who's ready for Phase 2? The bridge crew shared knowing looks. Phase 2. Now that was going to be interesting. So, James stared at the holographic display floating above the conference table. When you said Phase 2, you actually meant, let's casually rewrite the laws of physics while everyone watches. Maya's grin was practically radioactive. Hey, if you're going to make an impression, make it count. Besides, it's not really rewriting physics. We're just creatively interpreting them. The display showed their latest project, a massive ring structure taking shape around New Earth's framework. But unlike traditional orbital rings, this one seemed to bend reality itself, creating what Dr. Joshi had dubbed localized space-time bubbles. The Andromedans have already sent 3 formal requests for explanations, Raj reported, scrolling through his messages. The last one was just a series of confused mathematical symbols and what I think might be the galactic equivalent of... Perfect. Maya nodded. That's exactly the reaction we were hoping for. Dr. Joshi, want to explain to our friends what they're actually looking at? Kavita stepped forward, her usual scientific composure barely containing her excitement. What we're demonstrating is something we developed about 500 years ago. Selective gravity manipulation on a planetary scale. The ring isn't just an orbital structure. It's a series of interconnected gravity wells that can be programmed for different effects. Like artificial continents floating in the sky, James realized. Among other things, Kavita confirmed. We can create zones of altered gravity, controlled weather patterns, even localized time dilation if we want to get fancy. It's basically terraforming plus. Maya leaned back in her chair, enjoying the stunned expressions on her crew's faces. And the best part? We're going to teach everyone how to do it. Well, a simplified version anyway. Can't give away all our secrets at once. The diplomatic implications alone. Raj shook his head in amazement. Every world in the galaxy is going to want this technology. Exactly. Maya's expression turned more serious. Which brings us to the real Phase 2. Dr. Joshi, show them. The hologram shifted, displaying a complex network of connections between various star systems. While we were in exile, we didn't just advance technologically, Kavita explained. We created something else, a new way of looking at galactic civilization. The Galactic Scientific Exchange Initiative isn't just about sharing technology, Maya continued. It's about creating interdependence. Every species that joins gets access to different pieces of our advances. No one, except us, gets the complete picture. But when they work together, they can achieve even more than we could alone, James finished. It's brilliant. We're not just returning to galactic society, we're restructuring it. With humanity at the center, Raj added, not through force or fear, but through innovation and cooperation. Precisely. Maya stood up, walking to the viewport where they could see New Earth taking shape. The Zrixians destroyed our world because they feared our potential. Now we're going to show them what that potential actually meant. A chime from Raj's console interrupted the moment. Speaking of the Zrixians, you might want to see this. They've just announced a complete restructuring of their government. The High Council is being replaced with something they're calling the Cooperative Assembly. Let me guess, Maya smirked. They're adopting a more human-like governmental system? Down to the term limits, Raj confirmed. They're calling it evolutionary progress and learning from historical mistakes. The bridge crew burst into laughter. Should we tell them we can see through their transparent attempt at sucking up? James asked. Nah, Maya waved her hand. Let them think they're being subtle. Besides, it's actually a good thing. The more they try to emulate us, the more they'll accidentally start making genuine progress. Captain, Dr. Joshi's voice carried a note of urgency. We're detecting some unusual readings from the quantum archaeology project. I think we've found something in the Earth's scattered matter that we weren't expecting. Maya's expression shifted from amused to intrigued. What kind of something? The kind that suggests we might not have been the only ones planning for the long game, Kavita replied. There's evidence of intentional data storage in some of the matter patterns. Data that's definitely not human in origin. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Well, Maya finally said, her smile taking on a predatory edge. Isn't that interesting? Looks like Phase 2 just got a lot more compelling. Raj, send a message to our Andromedan friends. Tell them we're ready to discuss that technology exchange program they offered. She turned to face her crew, eyes glinting with the same determination that had carried humanity through 3,000 years of exile. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we've just discovered that the galaxy's game of chess has a few more players than we thought. Good thing we brought our own board. What's our next move? James asked, though his expression suggested he already knew the answer. What humanity does best, Maya replied. We're going to take something unexpected and turn it into an advantage. Dr. Joshi, I want everything you can learn about that alien data. Raj, start analyzing patterns in galactic communications over the last 3,000 years. And James? Yes, Captain? Prepare a briefing for the Cooperative Assembly. I think it's time we had a heart-to-heart with our Zrixian friends about what really happened 3,000 years ago. The crew sprang into action, each member understanding that they were about to shift from merely returning to galactic society to potentially redefining it entirely. Maya returned to the viewport, watching as another section of New Earth's framework came online. 3,000 years ago, someone tried to write humanity out of history, she murmured. Time to find out why they really wanted us gone, and who else might have been pulling the strings. The stars seemed to twinkle in response, as if acknowledging that the game was about to change once again. Phase 2 wasn't just about showing off human advancement anymore. It was about uncovering the truth behind humanity's exile. And if there's one thing humans excel at, it's finding answers to questions that others preferred stayed buried. The Zrixian Cooperative Assembly Chamber looked different now. Gone were the ostentatious crystal formations and imposing architecture, replaced by a more practical, almost human-inspired design. Maya couldn't decide if it was amusing or sad how hard they were trying to imitate humanity. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. The newly appointed assembly director's crystalline form flickered with agitation. You're suggesting that our species was manipulated into destroying Earth? Manipulated is such an ugly word, Maya replied, lounging in her chair. I prefer strategically influenced by parties unknown for purposes we're about to make them deeply regret. James, standing beside her, didn't even try to hide his smirk. We've analyzed the data patterns found in Earth's scattered matter. They contain fragments of code that predate Earth's destruction by at least a millennium. Code that bears striking similarities to certain quirks in Zrixian decision-making protocols. The assembly chamber erupted in a cascade of crystalline chimes, the Zrixian equivalent of shocked gasps. Show them. Maya nodded to Dr. Joshi, who activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. These are neural pattern analyses of Zrixian historical records, Kavita explained, highlighting various data streams. Specifically, the decision-making processes that led to Earth's destruction. Notice anything unusual about the logic paths? The Assembly's chief scientist, a Zrixian named Vix, moved closer to the display. These patterns, they don't follow standard Zrixian logic structures. They're more artificial? Maya suggested. Engineered, perhaps? Created specifically to guide your species toward a particular conclusion? Impossible, another assembly member protested. Our decisions are our own, are they? Maya stood, walking to the holographic display. Tell me, why exactly did you destroy Earth? What was the specific threat we posed? Not the vague potential for advancement line you've been repeating for 3 millennia. The actual concrete reason. The chamber fell silent as the Zrixians realized they couldn't provide a clear answer. Exactly. Maya's voice carried a mix of triumph and sympathy. You can't explain it because the logic wasn't yours to begin with. Someone wanted Earth gone, and they used your species to do their dirty work. But who? The assembly director asked. And why? That's the interesting part. Raj spoke up from his position near the data terminals. We've been analyzing galactic communication patterns from the past 3,000 years. There are gaps. Moments where entire sectors of space just go quiet for brief periods. Like something's moving through the galaxy, staying just out of sight. Which brings us to why we're here. Maya turned back to the assembly. We're not just sharing this information out of the goodness of our hearts. We need your help. The director's crystalline form pulsed with surprise. Our help? After what we did? Precisely because of what you did, Maya explained. Your species has the most detailed records of the events leading up to Earth's destruction. Records we believe contain hidden data that could help us identify who was really pulling the strings.
And why should we help you? A younger assembly member challenged, though their tone suggested they already knew the answer.
Maya's smile was razor-sharp. Because whoever manipulated you into destroying our world didn't just use your species. They fundamentally altered your society's development. Don't you want to know who decided your destiny without your consent? The chamber erupted in discussions, the Zrixians' crystalline forms creating a symphony of chimes and resonances. There's something else, Dr. Joshi added, adjusting the holographic display. The quantum archaeology project has revealed more than just data patterns. We found evidence of similar manipulations in other species' histories. The Andromedans' sudden shift away from biological research. The Vega Collective's abandonment of their outer colonies. Someone's been playing a very long game, James concluded, and humanity's exile was just one move on the board. The assembly director's form stabilized, taking on the deep blue hue of decisive action. What do you need from us? Maya's expression softened slightly.
Full access to your historical archives, especially the sealed records from before Earth's destruction. And, she paused for dramatic effect, we need you to help us make contact with the precursors. The chamber went completely still.
The precursors? The director's voice was barely a whisper. But they vanished from the galaxy millions of years ago. Did they? Maya's eyes twinkled. Or is that just what someone wants us to think? Because our analysis of that alien code, it bears some striking similarities to the fragments of precursor technology that your archaeologists have been quietly studying for the past 5 centuries. How did you... The chief scientist began. Please, Maya waved dismissively. We had 3,000 years to learn all your secrets. The real question is, what are the chances that the same entities who manipulated your species into destroying Earth also had something to do with the precursor's disappearance? Back on the Reckoning, hours later, Maya sat in her ready room, reviewing the day's events with her senior staff.
Well, that was productive, James commented.
Though I'm still not sure about revealing so much of what we know. Sometimes the best way to hide your true capabilities is to be surprisingly open about lesser ones, Maya replied. Besides, watching the Zrixians try to process everything was worth it. The real question, Kavita interjected, is whether they'll find anything useful in their archives, and whether we can trust whatever they do find. Oh, they'll find something. Maya's confidence was absolute, because we already know exactly what's in those archives. We just needed them to discover it themselves to make it legitimate. You didn't, Raj laughed. When did you manage to hack their sealed records? About 2,000 years ago? Maya shrugged. What? We had a lot of free time during exile. The point is, we know there's evidence of direct precursor intervention in their early development. Evidence that suggests the precursors didn't just vanish, they were systematically erased from the galaxy, just like someone tried to do to us. And now? James asked. Now we wait for the Zrixians to have their earth-shattering revelation, the Andromedans to discover similar evidence in their own archives, and the Vega Collective to suddenly remember some very interesting anomalies in their historical data. She stood, walking to her viewport where New Earth continued taking shape. Meanwhile, we'll keep building our new home, sharing our technologies, and preparing for the moment when whoever tried to write humanity out of history realizes their mistake is coming back to haunt them. With advanced technology, a united galactic community, and 3,000 years of carefully laid plans, James added. Exactly. Maya's reflection smiled in the viewport. After all, if someone's been playing chess with galactic civilization, it's only fair we show them how humans play the game. And how's that? Raj asked, though they all knew the answer.
We flip the board, scatter the pieces, and invite everyone to play a new game entirely. Maya turned back to her crew.
One where humanity isn't just a piece on someone else's board. We're the ones making the rules. As if in response, another section of New Earth's framework blazed to life, casting a brilliant glow through the viewport. The light caught Maya's expression, highlighting the determination that had driven humanity through 3,000 years of exile.
They weren't just back to reclaim their place in the galaxy.
They were back to uncover the truth, rewrite the rules, and ensure that no species would ever again be manipulated into destroying another's home. Phase 2 was just beginning, and somewhere in the darkness between the stars, ancient powers were about to learn why humanity's potential had frightened them so much in the first place. To be continued.